pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bill and Smith will bring in location.
There's a long time I see it. Yes.
Arend. We are thankful for our Father in our many ways, for life and health, strength to work and to live, for the Spirit that gives us strength, so that good appetite to live. We are thankful for the beauty and glory of this day, and for everything that comes to us through Rotary, in the service of others and of self. We thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Representatives, and so I'm going to introduce them first, and then we'll go with the introduction of Alexis and Sam today. So today we have many representatives from Waco High. We've got Dr. Susan Buchanan, who is the Waco IC Superintendent. We have Jerry Allen, who is the Chief Technology Officer. We have Tara Wisenter, who is the Senior Counselor. We have Lisa Saxenian, who is the Waco IC Career and Technical Director. We have Sterling Magruder, who is the Principal of Waco High. Takesha Alberti, who is the Associate Principal at Waco High. We also have the honor of having Alexis' father, Jeff Cookham, that is joining us today, and also Sam's parents, who are sorry, I don't memorize all this stuff, but I know. That we have Amy and Jeremy Everett, and thank you so much for coming today. So first of all, I'm going to introduce Alexis, and then I'm going to let her talk about what her future goals are going to be. Alexis has gone to Waco High School, and I will let her tell you a little bit about the university that she may want to be attending. Her parents are Jeff and Bernadette Cookham, and we have Jeff here with us. Her school activities are varsity soccer, varsity tennis, mock trial, student council, and the National Honor Society. She also is a member of the National Charity League and volunteers at Renew Church. And I'm going to let her talk to you about her future plans and what she would like to do.
Hi, my name is Alexis Hogum. Next year I plan to attend UCU Charleston, majoring in neuroscience on a pre-med track and hope to go to the
Samuel, actually Everett. He does go to Waco High. His parents are Amy and Jeremy Everett, and he has two brothers, Lucas, who is older, and Wyatt, who is younger. He participates in Waco High's varsity tennis team, student council, and the National Honor Society. Some of his community activities is he's volunteered with the YMSL my junior year, Caritas the summer of my sophomore year. I tutored algebra and chemistry in my sophomore and junior years, and he's worked with the Heritage Creamery, the local ice cream shop, since the summer after his freshman year. I'm going to let him talk about some of his future plans.
Hi, I'm Sam Everett. I'm going to Texas A&M next year and move to pursue mathematics, where I am a professor.
You are one wonderful students. They're going to do well with their futures. So thank you for coming today.
Well, we have another introduction today, and that is from First Frost, who has brought Brad Bernie as a new member of Waco Rotary Club.
This young man is saying, Brad Hardy, favorite graduate. Been working with him about 20 years now. Owner of Waco Rotary. Previously, Rotarian, previously, Rotarian.
No, just I'm happy to be in the club again. It's a wonderful organization. This is my third try, so third time's a charm.
I guess we're gonna have to put him on the board, making an officer this time. Next, we're gonna have a good time singing happy birthday to all Rotarians of this club that had birthdays in April. We have Bill Ford, Ace Ross, Dee Ford, Bob Davis, Chrissy DePruitt, Marsha Horn, Kent Cady, I know you're here again, so please stand. Frank Levy, Catherine Lowe, Sherry McDonald, Philip Prince, David Tikau, and Robert West. And if we missed any Rotarian that had an April birthday, it's because you didn't put that information in Club Runner. So we don't know when your birthday is. Larry?
All right, let's sing Happy Birthday, Rotary. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Rotarians. Happy birthday to you.
Well, now the reason why everybody is in attendance today, it seems like we had a celebrity invited to be our guest speaker today. I was unaware of that. Had not met him until he walked in today. So as chairman of the day, Lou Arend, please bring up first.
Thank you, President Rosemary. Well, today, Rotarians were in education on artificial intelligence from Bill Arend, the managing director of Microsoft of Energy Practice, and also my son. So I was telling Rosemary, I'm not quite sure how to introduce him since I know him so well personally, as well as professionally. So I thought I'd start out by saying that Bill was born 6 pounds 8 ounces in Colorado Springs. Two wonderful parents, by the way. You also had a chance to be with us and lived in both Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, as well as several addresses in Houston. I know as a golfer, he can hit a 300-yard drive right down the middle, and that's all he do at Pebble Beach. Probably Bill also anticipated quite well the economy these days by studying marketing and also information technology as a Baylor grad, and built on that career in software for many years. And during that time, he met and married a smart, beautiful, and talented Baylor grad for his wife, and they have 3 absolutely perfect children. One daughter is currently at Baylor and graduated in December, and another one who's a junior at Baylor, and a son who's an ex-professional golfer and also in the software business. Well, Bill has over 25 years of experience in understanding and marketing the software products throughout the world to Oracle, Workday, Microsoft, and several startup companies. And today he currently works with the top engineering and industry companies in the world and helps help them understand how artificial intelligence and software can improve their business. So let's welcome Bill and let him tell us what he can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. He's been asking me for a while. I do have the privilege. I'm in a huge company, a company called Microsoft, a garage startup that's done some amazing things. It's earnings today, so I can't tell you about what's going on, but I can tell you the numbers are unbelievable. And a large part of my career has been how do I get ahead of technology. I'm going to keep walking around here to show you this. So that's my beautiful family. You probably can't see it much, but this is my 30th year in enterprise software, and I have seen cell phones. How many people have smartphones? Please tell me everybody has a smartphone. That was the first major technology impact in the enterprise. I spend my days and nights, unfortunately, working with the largest energy companies in the world and talking about how technology can help advance their business, drive productivity. And artificial intelligence is certainly a subject that is not new, but it's one that has literally opened doors for my team to be able to go into the boardrooms of some of the largest corporations. Every single company on the planet is trying to figure this out. And the story of technology is one that races past the internet. And the idea, I got to ask a couple questions here. First is, how many people have used ChatGPT? More than I thought. I'm impressed. So artificial intelligence has been around for a long, long time. It's been 40 plus years. And so the definition of AI is something that perhaps is missed because at the end of the day, you keep hearing about ChatGPT. And there's a reason why it's been front and center. It is changing every single team, every individual, every organization on the planet is figuring out how to leverage this technology. As human beings, we're using it in unique ways. As companies, as nonprofits, as clubs, as organizations, people are trying to figure out how they can use this kind of technology as a companion. Anybody have an autopilot Tesla? Oh, so autopilot is not what AI is. Co-pilot is what a term that you're going to see a lot of, and that's effectively putting artificial intelligence and specifically generative AI at the hip of every human being on the planet, to be able to use it as a companion to do more, to be able to take advantage of the technology, whether it's to create images, to create content, to create outputs. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through some scenarios and walk you through some stories. And if I have time, I've got a couple demos I want to show you if we have time. But in general, I think that we're all in an agreement that this is a pretty provocative conversation when it comes down to it. Many people don't realize that this has been around for a long time. And I think people immediately go to the front page of the news and you hear sensationalism of how miserable and terrible this is going to ruin the world. It's not going to ruin the world. There's every new innovation has its risks, and there's no question there are risks with artificial intelligence. It's not in place to ruin everybody's careers and take people's jobs or cause malice. It is truly, when used responsibly and ethically, it can be an amazing advocate for the worker and being able to do mundane tasks. I'm going to show you some examples. We'll talk more about it as we progress. Machine learning is a component of artificial intelligence. And that is looking at patterns and figuring out how you take data and repeat and look at patterns to help get out ahead of decisions and get out ahead of things that are going to happen. Anybody use a map to get here today? With Apple Maps or Bing or Waze and things like that. That's an example of how we use it on a daily basis. There's lots of examples with corporate, with your credit card, when you have a phone call that says, hey, did you make that charge? That's an example of how they're looking at your patterns. And I would say that probably the most exciting part for me personally about artificial intelligence is how it can impact our individual productivity. I spent a lot of time in front of email chats, and I literally ask my co-pilot, I ask it every day to start every day, hey, what are the top 3 things I need to work on today based on what I didn't get done yesterday? And oh, by the way, can you please put that in a 3-column a 3-column spreadsheet and highlight things that are way past 3 days due. And it spits it out and gives me my to-do list. Okay? I'm using natural language, words. And that's the last piece of AI, which is what you're seeing more and more in generative AI. How do I use words, natural language, to get output from a technical solution like artificial intelligence? And the way that it's being used around the world right now is spotty and sporadic, and it's all over the place with how it's being done. I can speak from the energy sector where I spend most of my time. These large corporations have 50, 75,000 employees. They're trying to figure out how they can help empower those knowledge workers to take away some of the mundane tasks, some of the technical the ways that they go about entering data or analyzing data, and allow them to do things in less time and have a better experience with work-life balance. It's an interesting concept, but the idea of generative AI is really the subset that's getting on the press that you see about today. When it comes to just speed, and what I would say is just a simple statistic, it just was something I was not truly aware of, but ChatGPT, when it came on board, literally about a year ago today, or it was in March of last year when it started it really hit the press. And you look at historically some of the technology innovations that exist, you look at how long it took, and the metric is 100 million users. How long did it take to get a cell phone, 100 million people using it? You can see it took 16 years. Internet, 7 years. Facebook, 4.5 years. ChatGPT took 90 days. That in itself is just a jaw-dropping moment of this is ubiquitous, it's being used, and now how do we take advantage of that is the question that I want to help answer. The steps that companies take, and this is a mix of a lot of different types, so I'll do my best to bring all these stories together individually and as leaders of companies and as employees of organizations. I think we all play a role, and I think when we leave here, we stack hands and say, let's go, because we want to be the first as a country to take advantage of this in a positive way and demonstrate ethical and responsible uses of AI. When you look at how AI can power an organization, what it boils down to is sort of 3 steps. You've got to effectively build a foundation. Does anybody believe we don't have enough data to work with? Because the foundation of all artificial intelligence is data. And so, in a weird way, I'm a sports fanatic and I love sports. And by the way, we did get Roach. He signed for Baylor, so he's committed. So we got a new Baylor there coming to town. But I can tell you, there's technology Coach Drew uses that I've seen that's analytic driven. He's taking analytics, and there's so many different ways to slice data to make decisions on it. Coach Drew has to make those decisions on a basketball field or a basketball court. As individuals, your stock performance, your ability to use information to help make better decisions. If you have wrong data, do you get the right answers? Don't think so. So the challenge that most organizations have is cleaning their data, making sure the data that's being used to be ingested into this world of AI is accurate and correct. And then the second part of the concern is always from an automation and performance perspective, it's the fear of letting something out of their enterprise that's going to cause harm, which is proprietary secrets, designs, things that are going to ultimately be something you don't want in the public domain. And I think that a lot of organizations, when they first were addressing this, there was legal, how many lawyers in the room? How many lawyers do we have? Yeah, so from a legal perspective, the legal side of most companies was the first to put a pause on any adoption of artificial intelligence in the enterprise. I spent countless hours with corporate attorneys, and I can tell you right now that the confidentiality and the intellectual property rights is the battle that people are wanting to make sure they don't give up. And the good news about artificial intelligence, when done responsibly and within the enterprise, is you can create guardrails. Microsoft, I can speak from our perspective, we're putting our money where our mouth is, and we stand for any patent or any kind of copyright infringement, we're going to defend our customers because we believe that outputs that are being created from any interaction with artificial intelligence, we believe that we are within the bounds that we're protecting with our customers using our tools to be able to protect them against doing something that's causing an infringement on any intellectual property. So the hard part about doing that is when you go rogue inside of an organization. And that's when you see the negative, some of the press that's been out there with things that happen inside of an enterprise. Secret designs were created, or not created, but released inadvertently because they were using a public version of ChatGPT inside of their corporation. And when you upload that document becomes public domain, right? And so what companies are doing is creating AI low-power organizations. They're putting guardrails in using identity and security controls that help protect the data. Think about, I met with we had a presentation last week by one of our customers at a law firm. 1,100 lawyers, and no knock on lawyers in advance, but productivity goes against the concept of billable hours. Why would I want to spend less time billing when I could be doing something automated and takes down my hours? This law firm out of St. Louis is flipping the script. They're so bullish on the use of AI as an 1,100 employee U.S.-based law firm that they're flipping the narrative to go aggressively against the traditional route. They're doing more fixed fee billable work, where they do a fixed fee and they believe they can be very productive. The example they gave is fascinating. They had a court case. The court case had 400 voicemails as part of the evidence that you could go through. And in the history of the past, they would have taken a lot of people to listen to those voicemails, take notes, potentially transcribe those. They did that in a matter of hours using the voicemail and an AI service to be able to transcribe those voicemails. They took the case to court sooner than their competition could handle and won. And they talked to me about how that's just one example of many how they've used AI as a way to get out ahead of competition to differentiate. Right? So when it comes to organizations around automation and AI, you can find all sorts of examples of trading. You can see in accounts receivable arena. There's every single department, every company in the world can benefit by foundationally building out automation, securing the data, cleaning the data, and effectively move to the other side, which is high performance. There's opportunity for you to leapfrog. To me, the opportunity every individual and every company has is to differentiate and using technology like this to get out and leapfrog competition. So I can speak to, there's a handful of customers I do work with that are a little bit on the laggard side. They're pushing, they're sort of slow rolling. I call them fast followers. And the fast followers of the world, the script could be literally flipped on them if they don't watch out. There's an example of one of the leaders I met with an oilfield services company that's putting a lot more urgency on this topic because he's fearful they will become irrelevant. And that's a pretty strong comment. That was from a senior executive of one of our customers that's fearful that a nimble, smaller oilfield services company can play up in their weight class by leveraging technology. And I do believe that there are ways that companies can use this because it is now a supercomputer. You basically see the Chomp, I think his name, the War Games, the movie back in the 80s, where no one could afford one of those supercomputers. And those supercomputers are very expensive, costly, and now you have access to that power, that supercomputer, on a subscription basis, which is unbelievable. As a service, you have access to this. There are people that don't have the luxury of having a Cray machine sitting in their back porch, right? This is available to you. Everyone in this room can literally download and use this right now and have the power of a supercomputer at your fingertips. So that's a pretty significant movement and shift in how technology has been delivered to the organizations. When we talk about the path or the roadmap to excellence, to me, fundamentally, as a leader of people, I want to have them have a great experience. in doing what they do. I want them to have fun doing it. I want them to make sure they're not inundated with things that are tactical, that are not fun to go do this Monday. And I can tell you that AI is something that can help eliminate some tasks that are repetitive, that can be easily automated with artificial intelligence to make the experience better. One example, just a funny one, which is, I was talking to my wife on the way up here. How many of y'all shop online? Be real. Yes. How many of you have been given a suggestion that something might, how many buy those suggestions? Unfortunately, I do all the time. That is, look, every one of us has a digital footprint, a digital map of your buying behavior, whether we like it or not. Privacy is respected, but at the same time, patterns are created with knowledge based on data and history. And creating experiences. I become this online snob. If it's not a good experience, I punt. I'm going somewhere else. And that's the challenge. That, I mean, whether it's online restaurants or online buying of product or whatever gifts, you want to reward those that are creating a great experience. And great experiences can be embedded, artificial intelligence can be embedded in it to make it a great experience. And it remembers and is looking at suggestions that you can be given. And I look at the ability for us as individuals to engage customers differently. If I can thoughtfully understand where things are going to go or things that they may like, you can use this to your advantage to create relationships. I did do a search, I did a search for a nonprofit organization, how can AI empower or make better? And a lot of the information that came back, and I'll show it to you later, but basically the idea of take any industry, any role, any job, any content, and ask the question, how can AI make this better? And it comes back to creating a better experience. And so the experiences you can provide can reshape business processes. You can weed out things that are redundant. You can get rid of things that are creating a poorer experience for those on the other side. And to me, the opportunity for smaller companies is you have a chance, because you don't have to go buy an expensive supercomputer. You have a chance to reshape innovation. We have companies that are going to be creating. One of the great parts about Microsoft's model is we lean in very heavily with startup organizations, and we help them in our ecosystem and the ability to have a very specific problem. We were with Phillips 66 last week, and they had an AI day. They created 1,000 people from their organization. We had some of our partners that were frontline. One of them does a chemistry and physics-based AI model, and it's all about new product introductions, helping P66 develop novel, new blends, new products on the output that it takes days, weeks, years to be able to do. Now you can do in minutes based on looking at computational chemistry things. So there's so many examples we're seeing in our day-to-day lives, but as an organization, you can leapfrog and bend the curve of innovation to a point where you look at some of the top use cases for generative AI. Has anybody used it to create a response to an email? Yeah. So what's interesting about this is you can search for tone. I want to send an angry email because I'm not happy. And have it provide you an output or a suggested output that you have every right. The reason I bring up Copilot versus autopilot, it's not doing it for you and sending it unless you want it. Copilot, it sits next to you and makes suggestions based on what you're using with words, natural language, to be able to communicate with the other side of this story. And so you look at, I look at healthcare as probably one of the most unique, incredibly life-changing opportunities. I was in the startup world before I returned back to Microsoft. I was working with a startup in Austin that did the long needle invasive biopsies to get samples back. And it was targeting rural hospitals to be able to have an oncologist that could look at a slide and look for a specific type of cancer that the rural hospital may not have access to. But if you had a central hospital system and you have the ability to collaborate on that and output it, you can have an AI element to help train for what to look for. We're going to save lives with this technology. We're going to find things that are wrong in patterns and recognition of ailments in the healthcare arena that will give much broader reach to very special needs that most small cities and most parts of the world don't necessarily have access to in their hometown. And so AI can reach further, it can provide incredible information to those that are evaluating, and you can do this in a telemedicine model, which is going to be transformational because we can provide healthcare to more people with expertise. We have, going back to that law firm example, they have 60 to 80 they have 60 to 80 retirees every year in their law firm. So they're literally taking, and one of the concepts of enterprise chat GPT is knowledge mining, is when you lose a frontline worker who's been with a company for years, you're losing tribal knowledge, you're losing a lot of intellectual content that goes away with that retirement. What this law firm is doing is they're taking these, as part of their exit, they're effectively taking the knowledge, having all the work that they've done, all of their positions they've taken, back of the napkin and scanning in and making sure they capture as much of the information and knowledge about that human being that's leaving the firm and attaching it. And whatever this person's name, let's call it Harvey Specter from what Suits. Harvey Specter. Not condoning his behavior, by the way. But my point is they're branding that retired lawyer by putting a chat GPT bot on top of the knowledge and the data that they're mining. And what would Harvey say? And then literally the entire enterprise can ask this bot, was one of your peers using that knowledge that's been mined and kept and preserved to help make that transition something that is not lost because they leave and retire and that information goes along with it. So there's tremendous opportunity for organizations to brand these knowledge workers, these folks that have been providing great information and service to these companies, and have fun with it along the way too, because you can brand it and use it as a way to help bring that knowledge to the forefront with people who are transitioning to retirement. I think apps and creating, anybody software development in here? Anybody develop software? I don't either, I don't blame you. But the good news is you can use words. I am terrible with Excel. And I can tell Excel now, I'd like to create a pivot table using this data. I'd like to analyze year-over-year sales, and it creates the spreadsheet for me. That's the power of natural language, using words to communicate what you can deliver on the back end. I will never be a programmer, but I can tell you that programmers have a co-pilot at their hip to help them develop code. And I always ask them, hey, well, do you feel threatened because that code is something you normally do? They go, are you kidding me? I don't want to have to do those mundane, repeatable code and coding when I can literally have a co-pilot at my hip. I tell them what I'm looking for, it creates the code for me, and then I spend my time doing quality control and doing things that are better use of my talents versus having to do some of the basic tasks. So I have yet to see an example where people are enjoying some of the things that are taken away, where they're using their time wiser, is smarter with analytics and reviewing. So content generation, developing code. I think one of the ones that I'm just blown away by is the image creation, which is from just tell a picture. You can use words to describe. I saw one that was literally it was in Europe, but she was describing her upbringing, and she's using genealogy to describe people that she never met. And at the end of the day, she used words based on stories that were told to her, using words, and what came back was an image of that relative, using words that they created. Now, granted, was it 100% accurate? Who knows? But my point is, it brings to life things that you can use words and take a picture. And so the stories go in and on and on. I think I look at the world of folks who are with disabilities. I had a grandfather who typed stories. He had rheumatoid arthritis. He couldn't type with his fingers. He basically used a pencil, an end of a pencil, to type stories. He could have used words. You think about transcription, it's been around forever. But this is taking and creating content where it can use words and create a Word document, and then you edit the document versus having to create content from the ground up. So for folks with disabilities, answering an email can be done in seconds versus minutes because of the challenges that people have. So I'm covering a broad spectrum of use cases just because this is ubiquitous. This is something that's going to help and benefit everyone on the planet if it's used properly. And so the transition from use cases to how do you protect? And you look at, we talked about healthcare, we talked about some of the retail elements, manufacturing. There's just one example. There's a lot of manufacturing here in Central Texas. Think about, I was with one of our largest oil and gas companies that has a remote operations center. They literally have frontline workers all over the world working, and they have a command center that takes questions from the field. So I have a frontline worker working on a compressor that's busted and they need help, they don't know how to fix it. So they're using artificial intelligence to take all the maintenance logs, they're taking all of the information about how things were fixed, creating a frequently asked question, and then be able to use this to help empower the frontline worker to solve in the moment. The amount of travel that saves, the amount of opportunities, the opportunity for you to make mistakes that create hazards and create safety issues. They have what's called a HoloLens, and this is getting out there. So what I'm telling you here, this is more futuristic. I will tell you that most companies haven't implemented this, but this is where it's headed. It's literally wearing a computer that is on your head. And it has, you can either be one monocular, where we have one screen, and you literally can use, hey, Copilot, this is compressor 1, 2, 3. Tell me when the last time it was repaired. And it will spit out and pull up all the information, the records from the last time it was repaired. Hey, Copilot, are there any safety issues that I should be aware of based on repairing this compressor? And it will show history of the historical story of that asset, whether any health issues or health and safety issues. So I view this as a huge win for enabling the frontline worker to keep safety at the forefront, using technology to help me get information. And then the other side of that equation is with the knowledge gap that a lot of companies have with retiring workers, the engineers. You have younger people on the front line who don't have as much experience. This brings that game way up. Now you have all this information available for the frontline workers to take advantage of. So I transitioned from that futuristic view to today, where we are right now. I think this is a journey that, from a legal perspective, every company has to have a policy. You all remember with social media, have anybody have seen social media policy with a corporation or a company? Yes, the answer. When social media hit, people were fearful of the brand damage, that somebody doing something, they post something inappropriately and it ruins the brand. This is no different. You have to create an AI policy within your organization to put ground rules, train how to use it, do it correctly. But as young learners and folks that are getting into the from high school to technical or college, the opportunity within AI is absolutely unbelievable, because the same customer that I was talking about with the Remote Operations Center, they presented to our whole organization, our region last week. He said that the correlation of high performers embracing artificial intelligence in their workplace is directly correlated. They know these folks that are high performers are embracing this. They're not giving it a stiff one. And they're getting out ahead of, because the opportunity for you to learn how this technology can make a difference in the companies that you work for and in the individual day-to-day life. I think those are real opportunities for growth. So there's opportunities endless across all industries. And then from a safety perspective, this is the other side of the story. So if a company does not put guardrails up, if a company does not thoughtfully roll this out to their people, there's going to be mistakes made, I can guarantee you. Will there be mistakes made even if they do that? Absolutely. Okay? So the risk reward here is significant, but if as organizations and leaders in our communities, if we can help educate and we can help put guardrails up, Microsoft is going to do our end of the bargain. We're going to do our best to put guardrails up. If you do any kind of generative AI using words that is harmful, it will not give you an output. That is a direct violation of the principles that we have provided our consumers, whether it's a consumer or a business using our tools. So corporations have the same rules. Basically, you build guidelines from a implementation and training. We have probably out of the workforce in my unit, we probably have probably a third of our employees that are on co-pilots now, which is low, and they're all looking for ways to roll this out thoughtfully, and they're doing it in stages and ways of divisions and types of people. The corporate standard is something that's high bar for most organizations. They're very conservative. They don't want bad things to happen, so they're going to put guardrails up using technology that can put those guardrails. Higher education, you hear about stories of cheating and people using content inappropriately. There's guardrails that can be used with intellectual property to help identify those and put stern rules in place. But most of the organizations are using it in some way, shape, or form, as whether it's in the higher ed community, nonprofits, corporations, and then individuals. The principles of basically using this to create the boundaries that we need is no different than social media is in corporate America, right? Put a policy in place, train your employees, and thoughtfully roll it out to help embrace. We had one company who wasn't the one that was the laggard, and after we talked through legal with them, they have pockets of people that I guarantee were using it as individuals with personal credentials, not using the company credentials. And that alone scared the company to put their own guardrails up using what was included in the technology we provide our customers. So from auditing and monitoring, I mean, there's lots of privacy issues that you deal with and personal information. I can tell you that, a fear, for instance, hey, show me the salary of all the executives in my company. You're never going to have access to that. The controls are in place. But the fear people always have is that information is going to be susceptible to people seeing things that they shouldn't see. And most companies have some form of security that they built into their enterprise. And that's part of what has to take place. So it's got to be thoughtful. We can't just do it for the sake of it. Now, I want to leave the Q&A. So, matter of fact, I'm going to wrap here in a minute, and I'm going to have you all fire away some questions. So, one of the top questions outside of the legal side of the equation is, where's the value? So when it comes to value, when it comes to can you make money, can you save money, can you put a business case in place that says yes to AI in corporations or in a not-for-profit or in higher ed? The answer is absolutely. The stories are coming out. There's study after study that are coming in. For every dollar invested in AI, 3.5 is being returned. That's at a high level. I will tell you, out of our early adopters, just with our co-pilots, my favorite piece of this was one of the survey questions was, now that you've used these tools and we want to go back to where we were before, and if we paid you and bought you lunch every day, would you prefer to have lunch every day or having those co-pilots in your day-to-day? And 71% said, I want my AI. They didn't want a free lunch. So I thought that was pretty cute. But nonetheless, the payback, I'm being asked all the time by executives, where's the value? What's the hard impact to the bottom line? And the one I will tell you, one example is a company that had 5,000 disputed invoices with 700 million plus in outstanding aging receivables. That's a problem. The last time I checked, you need to invoice and collect so that your cash conversion, your bottom line reflects that. They put an AI component into this. They brought in email, Teams chat, and their SAP data on invoicing and drop that number down to a single percentage point of outstanding aged invoices and collecting cash much faster. It's been rolled out globally since then. That's just one hard example of a very simple use case on cash collection using technology to find the anomalies. Most of the anomalies were inaccurate tax coding. The invoice was not accurate because the taxes weren't accurate, because the codes weren't correct. And AI sniffed that out and it plummeted their invoices that were in error. So that's one example. So anybody have a question for me up front? I want to give some time. Yes, sir.
I know a lot of this technology requires a significant more amount of power than the older technology, older data center. I'm curious what your perspective is on where we all are going to get power for this and kind of what the future of that looks like with big companies like Microsoft.
Love it. Thank you for that. So the question was about power, and I actually asked this question of ChatGPT. If I do a normal search, how much more power is used than using a generative AI search? And I guess one caveat I just defined, if you were to go to Google or you go to Bing or Safari and you do a search for anything, you're going to get back websites. You're going to get back links that match the algorithms, match to the question you're asking. What generative AI and what the AI story brings you is an answer to that question, which takes a lot more horsepower to be able to respond to that and provide content on the other side. There's no question that it takes more energy to distribute an answer, so much so that when I speak to Microsoft, if you look at any of the major hyperscalers out there, they're all building data centers left and right. Just to put it in perspective, we are investing about $15 billion a quarter in building new data centers. We are opening a new data center every 3 days. Every 3 days, Microsoft is opening a new data center to support generative AI, to make sure our customers get the kind of horsepower needed. 100% of the energy in our data centers to provide an answer and support, to provide power to that data center is renewable energy by next year, by 2025. So we're looking at all sorts of creative ways, whether it's geothermal, whether it's nuclear, whether it's traditional, we have wind, solar, all this scenario. So the grid right now in the U.S., data centers take up 4% of the total demand on grid. It's going to double, if not triple. It's going to go straight up based on the adoption of AI in the world we live in. So how companies go back to responsible, they have to balance that load with something that's going to be, it's not an energy transition, it's an energy addition. We have to find additional sources of energy. In the energy space, CERAWeek is one of the largest events. It's the Super Bowl of energy. It's in Houston every year. We had our data center supply chain folks there. It was literally standing room only. There were so many startup innovations coming our way saying, I want to sell you a widget or a service or a technology that's going to help you power your data centers. That's what it's going to take. Google, AWS, Microsoft are the same boat. We're all looking at very creative ways to power these data centers responsibly. Yes, sir.
One of the big concerns was the accuracy of AI.
Yes.
And as a journalist, the pessimism that be part is how much still is human beings checking on what you're doing, whether it's Copilot, whether it's Perplexity, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Gemini.
No, great questions about accuracy. And the technical term for that is a hallucination, right? The hallucinations that are created with an input. So I create a response, or I put a prompt in, and my response is wildly inaccurate. It's the data is the key. Obviously, if you ask something, you point the question, and you have data that is inaccurate, it's going to provide hallucinations galore. So what corporations are doing for this is there's the World Wide Web of the world that sits outside of the four walls, and you've got the data that sits inside of an enterprise. there's literally a toggle switch. And so the ability to train the models with your enterprise data is what most corporations are going to do. And that helps at least create things that are hopefully more accurate than people who created a Wikipedia page or some source of information. How that gets solved is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. It's going to take training of the models. Every single question that is posed, one of the things that's really mission critical to enterprise use of AI is the data that is being used from every single prompt that's asked to chatbot or anything in the large language model is the possession of the corporation, not into the world wide web, right? So it's not, those questions to help make the model better are not making the model better if you're only looking at your enterprise data and it's making that ability to create correct answers in the enterprise clearer, better. The World Wide Web, when you point it to the World Wide Web and you have all sorts of information available, the ability to govern that and task that to, is this correct? Is the internet always right? Absolutely not. There's lots of false information, and that's going to be a problem that we'll have to keep training the model. You'll have the ability to do so as a consumer. You'll have the ability to do that. So I've run out of time. I knew I would. I didn't get a chance to show you any demos, but we have time for one more question? Sure. All right. Oh, man. Right here. Absolutely. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, I was going to ask what you know about the committee at the legislative level for artificial intelligence and what you think might come of that.
Oh, wow, that's a great question. End of the day, we don't have enough time for that. No, I mean, legislation is going to be, legislation will absolutely be a part of this. And I think it has to be. I mean, the role of a responsible AI in the corporation, there's going to be oversight, there's going to be a legislative component to this for sure. The jury's out. From a government perspective, there's no question there's going to have a heavier hand in the government world than it does in the enterprise. But we're going to have to, that'll sort itself out. We're not close to having definitive answers. We're trying, Google, all these companies are trying to impact that, to have a voice, but I think all the major technology players agree there needs to be oversight. There you go. So what a jury, Bill Dees, come on, man, you can't be the last
I
guy.
have a really quick question. I just asked ChatGPT what question I should ask an old college friend
Yes.
who is giving a lecture on AI. It suggested that I relate some of our experiences in college and ask how AI could have helped us in our experiences. So to my knowledge, we spent most of our time together studying.
Yeah, Bill Dees, I can't go there. That's a restricted question. There's too many pictures, and thank goodness we had cell phones back when we were in college. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. Absolutely. It was a fabulous program. Thank you, Luke, for sharing your intelligent offspring. If you have more, we'll have more programs. Or your son that's the golfer. We might want to hear about that sometime. Just building up programs for next season. I want to re-welcome our student guests, Alexis and Sam, good luck to you. We appreciate you being here today and all the representatives from Waco ISD. The Rotary invoices, I believe, were sent out a couple of weeks ago. And so it's your turn to respond. And I want to point out that maybe we become a little lax in donating to the Youth Service Fund and to the foundation. So when you're paying your dues, if you could include some contributions to both of those mentioned on your invoice, we would really appreciate that. Our next meeting is April the 29th. This has been an unusual meeting for interruptions this month. We had an eclipse, we had tax day, and we have a holiday. So back-to-back meetings just like the old way. We have Josh Stevens, our DA. He'll bring the program on the 29th. I think I've mentioned everything I was supposed to do. I appreciate you here. I appreciate you and the program today, Bill. He is from out of town, so that's appreciated. I'm going to figure out what Chat GBT is. Is it an app? All right, I can do that. That's about all I can do. So with that, if you'll stand for the four-way test. Is it